Oh.
Oh.
And we are live. Welcome everybody to episode 196 of Live at the Hive, Digital Marketing from the Trenches. I'm your host,
Dan Nadelko.
Nice. That was smooth.
Nice.
Stacy DeSantis here.
There we
Jazz
go.
hands.
And Yagna Claudia here.
Welcome, Yagna. This is Yagna's first introductory live at the Hive, although she's been watching since episode 1. I know it.
Yes, I am.
Welcome, everybody. So today on Live at the Hive, Digital Marketing from the Trenches, we are going to be talking about content distribution. And I think what a lot of marketers get wrong is there's a lot of content creators. A lot of people saying you got to create lots of content, create, when in fact you have got to have a distribution plan in place. If you don't have a distribution plan, we see it all too often, a lot of effort being put into tons and tons of content, literally just kind of dying on the vine. You know, it's unfortunate to see. And Stacey, you kind of live that, and Yagna, you live that pretty much every day.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to dive into it, but there's a lot to it. And you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people think it's not the field of dreams. You don't build it and people will just come. You have to actually, have a strategy behind it. And part of that is going right back to understanding who your customers are, the personas, the journeys, quoting Seinfeld, yada, 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 boom. Right? So we'll get into it more, but yeah, I think that's going to be a good one.
It is going to be a good one. And this is a small taste of our playbook that we've used over the years and adapted over the years in order to help promote content distribution and growth and really getting the most out of that content creation. Hello, Sophia. Hello, Yvonne. Hello, April. Hello, Brandon. The gang's all here. All
that
right.
brings me back to Romper Room. Do you remember that when we were kids?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Never
Of course I
said my
remember
name.
Romper Room.
Yeah, there was a show where this woman would look in a mirror and say, "I see Dan, I see Yagna," and there'd be little Stacy going, "Why won't she say my name?" Never said Stacy. Anyway.
All right, let's dive right into what's new in the world of digital marketing this week. Starting off at the top, and I'm throwing you folks a curveball here because this one wasn't there, but I just saw it and I thought it was pretty cool. Twitter commerce is on its way with shopping experiments closing in on the next stage. So, again, Twitter every week, new feature, something new. Yeah. So if we have a look here, kind of the interesting thing, it will be really interesting to see, who's going to purchase on Twitter.
Yeah.
I do think that huge influencers with gigantic followings could probably make a huge dent in that. It'll be very interesting to see. So this is how we're going to list products and everything else. You can see that they've got some different formats here for carousels, featured commerce. Pretty fascinating, actually, to see. Let's see here. Yeah. So they were testing their live shop module back last July, or this July, I should say. And there you can see it right there if you're watching on the screen. But it's going to be a very interesting competition between your Instagrams and your Twitters. And obviously, my number one shopping destination, which is Amazon, especially. Yeah, especially in the last little while. So something to keep an eye out for. And if you are in e-commerce, Brandon, you've got, the capabilities there. This is definitely a new channel. One of the things we talk about quite a bit is the fact that you should be, it's called headless commerce. It's actually one of the things that Shopify has been focused on for a long time, which is connecting to where people are, whether it's a social network or a mobile app or whatever it might be, rather than just driving them to a store. And you can see it's really picking up steam here. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one all plays out.
Yeah, I think, like, thinking about our topic today, content distribution, I think that'll be really interesting to see how maybe you tweet storm, which we'll get into, but you tweet a blog that talks about a certain topic that might relate to a certain product, and then you can buy the product right there and stay all in the same place.
The single experience. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Winner, chicken dinner.
All right. And these did look kind of cool. I did see this. Facebook unveiled a $299 pair of smart glasses with Ray-Ban. So they're not AR enabled. Thank God they don't have Facebook branding.
Right?
But the smart glasses, they have the classic style. You can see the two cameras on either side. And let's see, Yagna, you said you found this one pretty interesting in terms of, new technology coming out.
Yeah, I found it interesting because like it's for vaping. Vaping would it has partnered up with Facebook, and the fact that you can record your experiences and all the moments, and you don't have to go back and look into it, and it records itself. That was really pretty interesting for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be interesting to see. I think one thing that this, from a marketing perspective, if you were to take it from that perspective, and Apple has learned this as well, is that watches aren't just functional, and sunglasses, glasses are fashion accessories, regardless of Google took a panning for the Google Glass, which they then later shuttered, just because they looked kind of goofy too. Mm-hmm. One smart thing that Facebook has done is pairing with Ray-Ban. They're Wayfarer. They're very famous, like the JFK style, and understanding that these things will serve a dual purpose. And if it can't do AR right now, what can it do? The one thing I did hear, I think was a bit of fake news, was that people would be able to covertly take images and video. But the apparent response to that there is a light that turns on the side when you do start recording.
Okay, so I saw that this morning too, and I was thinking to myself, isn't it a little too late to be raising a red flag when you see a red light? Like, if I'm upset that somebody's recording an event, or I feel like my privacy is being kind of violated just because I see a red light on a pair of sunglasses, isn't it like it's already going, it's already happening? Like, well,
that's all true, and I think that's probably going to play out somehow or other. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's already, the genie's already out of the bottle.
Yeah.
It's too late. Like, Pandora's box has been opened on all those things. Hey, Dan, welcome. Dan Duran, hello guys, love your show. Thanks, buddy. I owe you an email, and I am sorry. I have had my week steamrolled by very large web dev projects we have on the go, but I promise I'm going to get caught up, hopefully tonight. So here we go. Yeah. So they're even saying it in the article, utility trumps privacy concerns. I mean, my take on this privacy concerns is nobody cares. I mean, people care. They'll complain, right?
Yeah.
But they really don't care in the place of convenience. Like, functionally, they don't care. And we've seen it. We've seen it happen over and over again. I mean, Google doesn't get talked about nearly as much as Facebook, and Google probably collects 100 times more data on you than Facebook does. But as soon as you try to, like, okay, stop using all Google services and stop using all Facebook services, people aren't willing to do it. And even with all the negative press, what we have seen is, in fact, that Facebook's usage is increasing. So it's kind of and like
it's
a little bit of a double standard.
They're kind of been smart, because a lot of people were like, woo, when it came into the Facebook portal, they were like, oh, I'm never going to have that happen, or get that device. And then, because they were concerned about privacy, and then Facebook partnered with nursing homes, so that way provided an opportunity for those that were in the nursing homes to connect with their families. Now they're doing the same thing by connecting the glass concept with Ray-Ban.
Yep.
So
yeah, and I think from the marketing perspective, that's a really smart move, is not to try to become a sunglasses manufacturer when you're not.
Exactly.
That's a whole different world. And like I said, the analogy that I would draw to that is like what Apple learned is that they didn't wipe out the traditional watch industry, because the traditional watch industry is not so much about telling time. People do it as a fashion statement. That's really what it is, right?
Yeah.
So that's a different spin on it there too. The one thing I think that this will be really super interesting for is a connection to Instagram with content creators that are able to do live streams, but like GoPro style POV. It's got a lot of interesting ways it can go. And the one thing I will give Facebook credit for, which we probably kind of slam Facebook a little bit more than we give them credit, but a couple of things is that they really launched what is considered a minimum viable product. And in the world of software, minimum viable product means, kind of absolutely what you need in that first iteration to test and be able to pivot it quickly. So, there's going to be so many conspiracy theories on this that come out on social media, but it still remains to be seen. But I do think you're going to see some interesting content from people. And I do have a feeling they're going to sell. Like $299 is not an expensive price point. It's very attainable. It's within normal sunglasses price points, if not even cheaper. I've seen far more expensive brands of sunglasses. But yeah, let's see where this one plays out. But I do think that if you are in the content creation game, you're going to put this one on your Christmas list. I'd probably, to be honest, I've got every smart device in this world listening to me. So, it's on my Christmas list.
Yeah, I am interested in these as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a techno junkie like you are, but this one kind of, I was like, oh, I could see it, kind of working a bit. And I also like the price point. It's not so outrageous, right? So.
Mm-hmm. April saying, I wonder if they'll allow us to create ads and track based on what people have seen or where they are at that moment. That's one of the conspiracy theories. I would probably say, and I don't know any of the tech behind it, I haven't looked into it, is that's probably a little bit beyond the technological capabilities of this at this point. Now, based on the image that you create rather than what you see and that you upload to Instagram and upload to Facebook, absolutely, they do that now, right? So for example, one of the things people will say, oh, I was texting with my friend about a concert I wanted to go to or an album that I liked, and then I see ads for that concert or that album all over Facebook. It's because in the terms of, it's not tinfoil hat time. The Facebook terms of service actually state very clearly, when you install the Facebook mobile app, they have the right, you're giving them the right to read other data on your phone. Now, I think that's been tightened up quite a bit recently. So, take off the tinfoil hats, like you've agreed to this, and this is why I say, I really don't think people, they care about their privacy, but they're not willing to do anything about it. Is that where it comes down?
Yeah, I actually read this morning that they're touting this is going to be an ad-free platform. So you can use it to create content and video right now, right? Mm-hmm. But they get you in there and then 6 months,
The distinction is that may be an ad-free platform, but if you're publishing it directly to Instagram, that is the image that you're putting into Instagram. They're going to use that data 100%, whether it's location-based or activity-based, or you're looking at products and taking a picture of it and sending it, that kind of thing. Again, this is all stuff they're doing right now. So this could be an entire live at the Hive talking about this kind of stuff. So we better get moving on. Our next what's new. Facebook published a new guide on testing ad creative and optimizing response. So these guides, when they come out, Facebook and Google, even Microsoft, publish a ton of valuable information. So one of the things, in the world in 2021, what we see a lot of buy my course, buy this, buy that. There are so many resources that Google and Facebook give away directly if you're looking for that. And you can get a ton of info from them.
Hello?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Was that Dan that froze? I thought it was me that had frozen.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to read this article? What's really interesting with this one is that they've broken it down. But what I found kind of curious is that they've broken down this whole case study.
Come
Oh,
on back.
there he is.
Okay.
We thought we had froze, but it was you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really need to get this off my chest. Okay, let's see. My internet connection should be about 600 megabits per second right now. It's not even close to that. I'm shaking my virtual fist at Rogers. I have like the most expensive thing that they make. The most expensive internet connection you can get for residential.
Me too, dude. Remember, and then earlier Dan and I were trying to have we were trying to collaborate on a project, and it was painful because he's like, "Can you hear me?" And I'm like, "No." "Can you see me?" I'm like, "No." And I'm like, I think he's gone again.
Yeah, I think he has gone again too.
That's okay. Basically, what he was going to get into was with this particular bit of information that Facebook is giving us is that oh, there he is.
I'm back.
Are you back?
For 1 second.
Every time I go to talking about it.
Here we go. Let's go. Come on. Come on, Rogers. Get it together. My connection has been stable all day. And then, of course, during the show, it goes down.
Yeah, it's always the way.
Okay. So sorry, I don't know where you guys had left off there at all.
Yeah, Stacy was just talking about how interesting this was.
It's a really interesting bit of information, but when I was reading through it, I kept having visions of, I don't know, science class back in high school, because it was like, break down your hypothesis, whether or not this can happen. And then, here you can try the A/B testing. And it's very scientific, the language they chose. And I don't know if it's because it was geared mostly for gaming advertisers or
No, actually, I wouldn't say it was geared for gaming advertisers. I mean, if you get into the traffic platforms, right? Whether it's Facebook or Google, these are massive data mined platforms. So there should be very little guessing. In the history of the world, we've got the data is really at the fingertips of advertisers to really drill down. So, Sushita on the traffic team, and most of me, when we're working on campaigns, it's very audience driven. We have a lot of technology. We can A/B test. There's a scientific process and hypothesis that goes into every campaign that you run in order to pull out the metrics that then tell you whether you're connecting with that audience or not. And yeah, to your point, this is gaming specific, but it's also for generalists. If you're a generalist, you should definitely be reading this and understanding how experiments work. The fact that it's gaming is just the context for the report and for the guide.
Yeah, it's interesting because I agree, and we've done a lot of A/B testing and all these different strategies, and it's very when people are coming to what we do here at the Hive and they're brand new, I think they're always a little overwhelmed by how much science is behind it, like data analysis and really getting into the weeds with that. So I agree. It had some really good tidbits too. If you, doesn't matter what industry you're in, where you could take that information and really optimize your campaigns.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So moving right along now to, I don't know about this one, but okay. TikTok reportedly overtakes YouTube in US average watch time. Subheader, on Android at least.
But
it was expected.
I don't know about the validity of this one. App analytics firm App Annie. Okay. So 24 hours compared to 22 hours and 40 minutes on Google's video platform. But again, you take the slice of what Android is versus all of the other devices and say things like smart TVs, where a lot of people, like we've got my 2-year-old is lining Coco Melon's pockets because that thing plays for like 14 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're in the 180 hours a day just on our TV up in our living room, let alone everything else. So it's it's great for growth. Obviously, that's fantastic. But the caveat on Android, at least, is this feels to me like someone at The Verge, and they do this a lot. A journalist is they want the clicks, man. They want the page views. They want to get people reading this article. And I think there's a little bit of that going on. But interesting to see the lead even on Android, TikTok versus YouTube. And again, these are estimates. They don't really have this data, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to look at the total growth, that's a pretty staggering number for a relatively young social network. Okay. Sorry. I didn't want to say fake news. That's a little bit extreme, right? But Dan saying maybe for YouTube Shorts. I didn't freeze again, did I?
No, I did this time.
No.
Okay, you did. Yeah.
You passed the goodness over here. I'm like,
good old Rogers, man. Okay, so in more marketing news on TikTok, and this one's a good one, TikTok ad exposure has nearly doubled. I think I can vouch for that just observationally by seeing, I don't know if you noticed, but when you spark up TikTok now, sometimes there's a forced ad when you open up the app right before you get to your feed. But the interesting thing here, so they've been increasing, the inventory that's available, and obviously the adoption is growing. But this one is platforms trust among marketers, which is interesting. And I think the important thing about this is video sharing was viewed as delivering the most fun and entertaining ads by consumers, though more users are starting to experience feelings of overload. I think the takeaway on this one in particular is, and I think I've mentioned this before, I really do like whoever was on the team at TikTok that did the TikTok Business Manager tagline, which is "Don't make ads, make TikToks." I do think that's brilliant. That was a brilliant line because traditionally what you see is, brands just putting their television ads onto YouTube pre-rolls, and it's like literally does not fit, square peg, round hole. And certainly on TikTok, you can see where brands have in fact even hired influencers to make a TikTok for them, to make it fun, to make it a native experience, to keep it engaging. And I think that's just important philosophically in terms of how, one, people consume advertising, and two, how TikTok, because there's a fatigue, right? There's a fatigue that people get from seeing crappy pre-roll ads that are, not relevant. If you go on to some websites in Canada like CTV, you try to watch their web video, you got to watch sometimes 45 seconds of commercials for a 45-second clip. It's like, I'm not watching that.
exactly.
Right?
And I think,
Exactly.
getting into the philosophy of it as well, like TikTok as a platform in itself has grown in validity from, let's say, when we were talking about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were very much like, oh, it's kind of just like a thing for kids and they're doing their little dances. And now it's like, no, like you should be on there and look at all the different ways you can make content for it. And
Absolutely. So Dan is saying I went from 0 to 2,000 followers on TikTok in 24 hours recently. So congratulations. That's awesome. That is the other benefit of TikTok is they still have an organic discovery algorithm, which as much as Instagram is saying, yeah, we do too, I'm not so sure about that.
yeah, I don't believe that either.
Yeah. Now the discoverability for new accounts on TikTok is atrocious. YouTube is slightly better with shorts if you have an established channel, but also cracking. I mean, a lot of people have cracked into YouTube recently and done really well, but it is a more challenging platform that requires a lot more effort and longer form video, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Wow, look at us, 449. Oops.
Oops.
Oopsie daisy. It was I feel like the Facebook topic ate up about 8 to 10 minutes there, but that's
Probably.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Rogers.
Yeah.
See what
Exactly. All right, so let's just dive right into this here. So content is useless if you don't distribute it. And you can't just hope and pray that your content is going to be distributed by the gods somehow magically. So you have to have a plan, and you have to be strategic, and you have to be, sorry, strategic is the wrong word. I think a lot of people are strategic about content creation, but they don't do the tactics, like the digging in.
Yeah, they're just like, well, we'll just throw it up. And then they're like, well, why didn't it work?
Yeah, you know, content doesn't do anything. Content doesn't do anything. It's like poorly structured Facebook ads and campaigns where people say Facebook doesn't work. Trust me, Facebook works, right? I've actually said this sarcastically to people, which is there's a reason that Google and Facebook are raking in billions of dollars in profit a quarter. That's 3 months, and they're all ad revenue based. So to say that they don't work, it means, I think what you're actually saying is they haven't worked for us because we did it wrong, right? In the very same way with your content creation, there's a big part of it that is the doing. It is, and you know, Gary Vaynerchuk says this a lot. It's like, you got to just push the buttons, you know? If you're writing strategic documents all day, get in there, start pushing some buttons. So what we're going to talk about is why content distribution is different than content creation, why you should do it. I think that's pretty straightforward. And then we're going to give you 5 plays that we're going to kind of zip through, so we're not taking too much time out of your Friday evening to enjoy. Courtney's saying, LOL, right on time. So that means Courtney arrived at exactly when we started. Perfect. So Stace, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add to this, or Yagna, just in terms of where we're.
Yeah. So basically,
go ahead, Yagna.
Oh, sorry. No, please go ahead.
No, you go. I talk all the time.
Oh, okay. Okay. So basically, what happens is like most of marketers focus on content development, like how their content should be, whether it should be like in terms of SEO or SEM. They focus on that, but it is not only content development that they should focus on. It is also content distribution, because like Dan said, there is no point of creating content if you are not able to promote it. And that is why content distribution and content development both go hand in hand, and it is equally important to focus on both of them.
Absolutely. Well said. Another thing too that I would add to this is content repurposing, right? We talk a lot about that, but don't just create from the wrong end, right? Do that cornerstone content that you put effort into, like our Live at the Hive. Repurpose that content for TikTok, for YouTube, for Instagram. Create a blog post, create a podcast. It's exactly what we do with this, right? And then in your distribution, and obviously social is a form of distribution. That's one of them. But a lot of people just post and pray, right? We see it a lot. Just I posted it and nothing really happened, right? One final point on this one, another tip is always analyze your results. And if you're not getting results, don't be afraid to fail fast and pivot and get to a point where your tests are producing reasonable results with a positive ROI. And so it's incumbent that you have tracking fully set up so you know what your sources are when you're putting them out there, and analyze those results. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into the 5 plays because I think we can do that. So what are some of the things that you can do beyond, and look, let's preface this. Obviously, a strong SEO plan. The number one source of free, this is not free because there's ancillary costs to it, is SEO. Is search engine is going to be the number one way that you can still generate the best amount of traffic. So you don't want to dismiss it, ignore it. There's a basic Google guide on their website about basic SEO that anybody can consume, read, and understand. And if you're in marketing, you should really be up on that because it's one of the foundations. But we're going to talk about some that maybe aren't so obvious. This one's one of my favorites. It's called a Tweetstorm. So you can create threads on Twitter now. And one of the important things about this, so it's part 1 of 2, 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, 4 of 10, helps get around the Twitter limits on character limits. You can take a 10-point listicle style guide that you've got, or you could take these 5 content distribution tips, create a Tweetstorm. I know several marketers and CMOs, people promoting startups on Twitter that use this specific tactic. Alex Garcia being one of them right here. He does this all the time, and you can see, or you can't maybe, 3,463 likes, 479 retweets. And I believe he is, he's running, I think it's an email marketing platform, right? So he's giving out really good, valuable tips. Cool. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next. Oops. Let's see. So Taboola, and also there's Outbrain as well. Stacy, are you familiar enough to talk to this one a little bit? You are. You do a similar thing with our content by boosting it to groups.
Yeah, it's
audiences. Sorry.
Exactly. So basically, Taboola is a internet discovery platform. It allows you to create a piece of content and then distribute it to a wider audience, even globally, if you would like. And it focuses on an I can't even talk, opportunistic approach to content consumption. So it's going to display. Did my internet go?
I can walk through this one real quick. I can walk through this one real quick. So what it is Taboola is a native content platform. So when you see promoted stories on like CNN has them, Fox News has them, all the news sites actually have them. You can actually use Taboola to get into these networks and have your content show up on CNN, for example. You write a good article, you can generate traffic, you get that distribution, and you can do it for smaller amounts. It certainly does help to get you some distribution and to get brand awareness as well, because there's not only the traffic that comes in, but the extra eyeballs that are on your brand. And so that's an important component of modern marketing, right? Building your audiences up. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of people discount that. So
yeah,
don't.
Exactly.
You know what
I
I
mean? So here we go on Medium. Content redistribution. So there's 2 of them here. Have you ever done anything like this, Yagna?
Yeah, I actually am on Medium. I like knowing more about books and everything. So I usually follow people on Medium who are like giving out content or like giving out blogs of like, hey, this is the 5 books that you need to read for this summer. And that's really interesting. So the most interesting fact about this platform is that it gives an opportunity for you to like repurpose your content, or like any of the old blog that you have or any of the old video that you have, that you can convert it into a blog or into an infographic and you can upload it. It's free and it has a lot of potential to reach to new audience, and also the fact that you can directly share the link to your social media platform so you get extra eyeballs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's 2 components to why this kind of a strategy is important. And you can do it on several. Medium's a good one.
Yeah.
Quora is also really good for this.
Yeah.
The point of these platforms is if you have a smaller website, you do not have a massive amount of authority to rank in search engines for popular terms. Medium has massive domain authority because it's such a large site. So you benefit from that for your targeted keywords with the ability to rank and effectively skip over and compete with very large websites, even though you may have a smaller blog setup on Medium itself, right? So that's an important, it's an important distribution strategy that you can get a lot of mileage out of, and play with the big boys and girls in the search engines where you normally wouldn't be able to do that with your very own domain, right? I'll give you another tactic here, and actually Dan, oh yeah, so Dan's talking podcast, but Podbean distributes podcasts to all major platforms. Absolutely. We use the Blueberry network, so it shoves us out to, I don't know, 20 different podcast platforms, including Spotify and everything else. So that's a great podcast distribution tip. The other one that you can do, and it's not in our list, but I do want to highlight it because it has come up and we've actually started doing this, is take your YouTube content, convert it into vertical format, and start using the YouTube Shorts algorithm, because it does have far higher discoverability right now, especially on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one's a good one.
Can I just say one thing about Medium?
Of course.
One thing about Medium real quick. I actually know some businesses that have hosted their whole blog on Medium itself. So they're getting the traffic from their site going to the blog, and then they're leveraging the traffic from Medium itself. So that's another option.
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, again, taking advantage of the authority of that big site. And a lot of startups will do this too, because they just don't have the resources to be building up a massive content library quite yet, right? Okay,
Exactly.
next up we have Listly. Anyone want to talk about Listly?
Yeah, I can. I've used this before, mostly for research papers and such, or university type clients, but basically it's a great way to actually create an interactive list of different sites or articles that you've collected that you find value, and then you can then share that with your audience by providing them with your Listly link. It'd be really great if you had done several papers on a specific topic, and then you know that it might be hard for you to rank or even find, that you can just direct people right to that piece of content.
So anything you can do to distribute your links and collaboratively, and if you were to build up a really good set of these resources, then you'll vastly increase the discoverability for your target audience using what might be even considered a slightly more obscure tool, not as necessarily as popular. But again, if you're in digital marketing, you want to think of as many different distribution points as you possibly can, and then test them, because what happens is they stack over time. I'll give you another content distribution tip that's a really good one. Download all your TikTok videos, go to Pinterest, set up your boards, set really good titles, really good descriptions. You're just strictly reposting your TikTok content onto Pinterest, and Pinterest can be a monster for driving traffic. The second part of that kind of growth hack tactic is, when you post, make sure that you have the link back to your site, right? Because it will embed a URL. So if somebody clicks on it, they'll actually come back to your site. Try to get them off of Pinterest, and Pinterest is very generous, where most other of these social sites are not nearly as generous in terms of wanting people to go off their domain. Cool.
Yeah.
We
like
doubled
it.
the
That's
number
a
of
good
tips here.
I know, look at us go.
Here we go. Okay, similar to what Dan just said about Podbean distributing podcasts to all major platforms, OneLoad will allow you to do the same thing, to take your videos and then distribute them automatically. This is another thing that I'm really big on, maybe out of laziness, maybe not. It's efficiency. Like, if you had to upload your video to 14 different video hosting sites, you'd be there wasting a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got to use technology to your favor in order to automate if you can automate it, Zapier. I'm a huge Zapier fan.
I like Dan. Did you see
That-
Dan Duran's comment? The little shock face that he has there.
You did not know this about
I
Pinterest.
thought that was cute. Sorry.
Yeah,
because,
it's a.
like...
Yeah, go ahead, Stace.
Oh no, I was just saying it was funny because as soon as you said I don't want to spend hours distributing a video, you know, to one channel each time, all of a sudden Dan's shocked face popped
Yeah.
up. Because it's so true. Like nobody.
So true. You've got to use, if you're in digital marketing, you need that technology to help automate that distribution. Now, you don't want to be robotic about the automation, right? It's a fine line. There's a nuance to it. So Dan's saying he didn't know this about Pinterest. Hope that you found that helpful, because we've used that one for several years, and it's kind of a consistent winner across the board. It really does work. Yeah, so OneLoad's a cool platform to help you distribute content. And keep in mind, I know a lot of people think YouTube's the only player in town in terms of that type of video, but they're not. There's lots of other video distribution sites that you can get onto that can help you grow your distribution opportunities. Like everyone, I think one of the tricks or the traps that digital marketers and businesses fall into is, okay, so we posted it to the Facebook page, we posted a tweet, we put up an Instagram, and you're literally, screaming into the Grand Canyon and nobody's seeing the efforts of your hard work. Like, break out of that and try to get more creative, right? This one is something that I've done in the past. I'm going to get back to it because I've neglected it, but cross-posting your blog content to your personal LinkedIn and building your personal brand. There's a real important part about this, especially for executives that want to create a personal brand, have a personal brand. All of these platforms, LinkedIn is preferential towards their blog posting tool, their articles tool, versus you linking out to your blog. So if you are we're going to create these blog posts and articles on LinkedIn for distribution and start sharing them, the smart way to do it is to actually repurpose your content and then publish it onto LinkedIn as an article. And you'll see that you'll get far greater distribution organically, because LinkedIn's algorithm, and it goes for all of them, the algorithm is trained to prefer content on the site for very obvious reasons, which are eyeballs, page views, shares, which all translate directly into ad dollars.
Yeah, I think people need to not be afraid to test these tactics that we've been discussing, because what are you going to lose? Nothing. You're going to potentially only gain more eyes on your content, right? Mm-hmm. So get to know what those algorithms prefer, and play around with these platforms and really test them out, because Dan's right. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, they're all going to give you preference if you keep people on their app, because they want to keep people on the app ultimately. Yep. Right. So
exactly.
Yeah. And I think a lot of this, there's a lot of tinfoil hats out there about how distribution works and how virality works. And, there's some tried and true ways to create virality, to create viral opportunities. And the bottom line is, what it comes down to is these are businesses that are operating for profit. And if you start your distribution idea with the notion that I will use LinkedIn tools for LinkedIn, right? Just as an example, stop posting links to YouTube videos on LinkedIn, upload them natively to LinkedIn's video player, right? What do you think gets better distribution organically? The native LinkedIn video player will absolutely destroy any YouTube uploaded link, even though it looks relatively nice and all that. But you're not going to get the same type of performance that you would get by doing that manually and using the native tools. Sorry. So, all right, everybody. We've now come to the end of another episode of Live at the Hive. There we go. Yagna, congratulations. You made it through your first episode. Were you nervous at all?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all.
That's good. There's nothing to be. We only had 2.4 concurrent viewers, 2.4 million concurrent viewers this week, so it's a small audience. Jake Paul and Logan Paul are shaking in their boots. It's all good. It's all good. All right, everybody. We will see you next week for episode 196, as we are going to have to start to figure out what we're going to do for our celebratory 200th episode. We will figure that one out. So have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week. Same B time, same B channel. Peace out.
Take care.